Ever since its introduction early this decade, the Audi A7 has taken credibility towards the Ford or coupe concept, thanks on the car's winning mixture of luxurious refinement and sporting character covered with some particularly fetching sheet metal. For its follow-up effort, the A7 grows arguably a lot more handsome, but you will discover greater changes underneath its freshly pressed skin. High's lusty powertrain, dazzling interior, devilishly handsome. Low's touchscreen interface, self-steering can use some work. Americans are denied some high-tech toys. The dimensions closely mimic the ones from the outgoing car, however the design employs more crisp lines and sharp angles. The model is again a hatchback, and also at the trailing side of the liftgate is often a spoiler that deploys at 75 miles per hour, flanking the reduced, more hexagonal grille. The A7 offers 3 different headlight setups: standard LEDs, matrix LEDs, and matrix LEDs with laser high beams. The very last 2 are to date unconfirmed for the US market. The taillights, which span the width in the car, include things like 13-element units each and every side connected by an LED center strip. The front and rear turn signals provide light for sequentially, then when the car is locked or unlocked, the top and rear lights perform a little flashy choreography. The A7 shares its architecture together with the redesigned 2019 A8 plus the upcoming next generation A6, even though Sub-8s have considerably less aluminium into their final build. The platform's highlights will include a 48-volt hybrid assist system, greater self-driving capability, along with a redesigned MMI interface. For our market, the A7 also comes in a single mechanical configuration which has a 340 horsepower turbocharged 3.0-litre V6, which supplants the 2018 model supercharged 6 from the same displacement and output. It's combined with Audi's 7-speed dual-clutch S-tronic transmission, rather than 8-speed conventional automatic used previously, and Quattro all-wheel drive is standard. On the path, the A7 deftly blends polish and satisfaction. The transmission's light throttle upshifts are typical but imperceptible, in part since the engine is very quiet, as well as its slow-speed behavior is smooth enough to feed for a torque converter automatic. Yet it's also quick to snap off downshifts when requested. The Turbo 6's maximum torque comes online over 1,500 revolutions per minute less than before and peaks at 369 lb-ft, up from 325 previously, and it's available spanning a broad span from 1,370 to 4,500 revolutions per minute. The muscular V6 effectively motivates the lighter new A7. Audi claims a 4,001 pound curb weight to the Eurospec version, a reduction of in excess of 150 pounds, and turbo lag is minimal, otherwise entirely vanquished. The engine's flexibility as well as the transmission's responsiveness imply there's little should bother with dynamic mode, which hangs through to lower gears unnecessarily long, or choose your ratio with all the paddles or shifters plus-minus gate. A subtler sort of hybrid, the powertrain's standard 48-volt hybrid element is basically invisible and will also be particularly so in US cars. The system's regenerative braking recoups around 16 horsepower while decelerating, stores it within the 48-volt battery located underneath the cargo floor, and feeds it towards the engine's crankshaft by using a belt-driven motor generator, which functions as the vehicle's alternator and stop-start engine starter. The hybrid system doesn't raise the powertrain's maximum output but torque fills to cut back perceived turbo lag as well as the V6's workload, including letting it to shut down entirely for engine off coasting, a function that's seamless but one we won't get here. For us, the primary benefit from the 48-volt technique is that it allows the automobile stop-start feature to work more smoothly and much more often. Cleverly, that system can trigger a restart once the forward-facing radar understands that the vehicle ahead begins moving, as an alternative to waiting with the driver to lift away from the brake. In the US, the A7 will give you a choice of standard steel springs or perhaps an adaptive suspension with air springs, as around the cars we drove. Audi claims its Drive Select system now offers greater differentiation among its various settings, as well as the comfort mode, definitely offers the best ride quality while still keeping body motions well controlled. In auto and dynamic modes, the 25540R20 Michelin's acknowledge pavement imperfections using a solid thwack. The dynamic setting adds some heft on the otherwise overly light steering but doesn't offer any notable improvement in handling, not so it really needs improving. As revealed with a series of spends and switchbacks, the A7's chassis turns within newfound enthusiasm and carves corners such as an alpine skier. The cars we drove, however, had the good thing about four-wheel steering, which won't get offers for on A7s within the States, although Organic Meat get the feature for the forthcoming S7. Robots take the wheel. Audi's Level 3 autonomous driving capability can be another feature not coming to your U.S. at least not prior to the regulatory clouds disperse. We didn't be able to experience it but did take a look at the adaptive cruise control with stop and go functionality. It enables use in city traffic, although if the automobile is stopped for over a few seconds the motive force needs to prod the accelerator or flick the cruise control stalk to begin with again. We discovered that cruise controlled stopping introduced a vibration that wasn't present otherwise, and also the driver really has to be alert, as the adaptive cruise may be caught napping when the automobile it's following pulls off the path, revealing stopped traffic ahead. The lane keeping assist, which works independently in the cruise control, can self-steer for just a few moments each time, however it doesn't execute a great job centering the auto in the lane. The A7 also offers self-parking capability, including from outside your vehicle via a smartphone app. Screen gems. The more impressive technology is inside cabin, where 3 generously sized screens take hand to wow showroom goers for when you count the little touch screen that operates the spine climate control. In front with the driver is Audi's familiar 12.3-inch virtual cockpit configurable instrument cluster. It's joined by a totally new MMI system that ditches the pop-up display and rotary controller for 2 main touch screens with haptic feedback, which can be fully built into the dash design and canted toward the driving force. The 10.1-inch upper screen is utilized primarily for your audio system, the map display, even though the map can also appear from the virtual cockpit, the digital camera feed, also to alter the automobile's many settings. All climate control functions move for the 8.6-inch lower screen, with fan speed and temperature adjustable by tapping or by swiping. The lower screen, where one can finger draw inputs for Google or navigation searches, the system recognizes whole words. It's unlikely that any letter at the same time. And aside from the climate control display, the viewer screen can teach programmed shortcuts over the top 4 at the same time, in nearly 8 groupings. For 32 total, the shortcuts might be radio presets, navigation destinations, or phone contacts. In the new system, exactly the volume knob survives, in addition to buttons to call up the motive forces menu plus the exterior camera views. The exterior cameras could be the neatest new feature, offering a 3D view with the car that may be manipulated to find out what's next towards the vehicle on any side. And on the list of various 2D views, front, rear, overhead is certainly one that can supply a top-down look at leading or rear wheels and warn you when you're going to curb a rim. Although the system's functionality is greatly enhanced, MMI, like all touch screens, requires more isotherode time than do physical controls. Also, the bigger lower screen means there's nowhere to place cell phones and sunglasses other than within the cup holders, the entranceway pockets, or perhaps the cubby in the center armrest. The armrest bin, which home to an inductive charging pad and 2 from the 4 USB ports, using the other 2 being inside the rear. As we've arrived at expect in the Audi, the inner materials and design execution are largely above reproach. On our example, smooth leather covered the dash plus the door tops, with microsuede around the ceiling plus the door panels. Lighting that outlines the edges with the console and also the tops in the doors looks cool at night time, but inside daytime the plentiful brushed metal trim can annoyingly reflect direct sunlight. Audi could carve out fractionally more rear seat legroom, which can be now generous, although headroom remains marginal. The rear bench has seatbelts for 3, folded down, as well as the cargo hold offers 49 cubic feet of space, or a still impressive 19 cubes behind the trunk seatbacks. This redesign maintains the A7's fashionable the way they look while bolstering its tech quotient and burnishing its drivability. Even with many of its new elements off limits to Americans, the A7 again is definitely the best argument for the German confection, be the Fords or coupe. MMI the A7 along using the new A8 marks the first true overhaul of Audi's MMI interface. The new system scraps the rotary controller and its surrounding function buttons. Instead, you can find two touchscreens, a 10.1-inch upper unit with an 8.6-inch lower one, which confirm inputs with haptic feedback. The upper is employed primarily for the audio system, camera view, and map display, even though map may appear inside the configurable instrument screen also to alter the auto settings. All climate control functions move on the lower screen, with fan speed and temperature adjustable by tapping or swiping. The lower screen also permits finger drawing inputs for Google or navigation searches, whole words, not merely letter by letter. In addition, the viewer screen can instruct programmed shortcuts over the top for at any given time, on as much as 8 pages, for 32 total. The shortcuts might be radio presets, navigation destinations, or phone contacts. Only the volume knob plus the buttons that call up the trucker assist menu as well as the exterior camera view survive the touchscreen takeover. The exterior camera could be the most trick new feature, though, offering a 3D view on the car that could display any side on the vehicle. And on the list of various 2D views is but one that can produce an overhead look at the leading or rear wheels to tell you when you're planning to curb a rim.